shake your dreams from your hair. I'm already there, right beside you. So please, don't hide, just say I'll be there if it breaks, right beside you. Suddenly I know now how it feels. I no longer have to beg or steal. I can stand out on this higher ground, where love is just a sound, where love is...
Good morning, everyone. Happy Sunday morning. Welcome to Coffee and Cresties. I'm Crystal with Gecko Diva. It's been 2 weeks. I missed you guys last week. You kind of get used to getting into a routine and coming on every Sunday. And it was kind of weird. I mean, I was in Vegas, so it was worth it, I guess. It was a lot of fun. We went down on Thursday and ended up spending the whole weekend in Vegas, and it was a belated birthday celebration. So I hit 40 this year and we decided to go, and I've never been. And any of you who have never been, definitely worth it. The weekend, a short time, is probably all you need. It does get to be a lot. So I couldn't even imagine spending a full week there. I'm sure there are people who would be all for it and could definitely handle a full week of partying. But yeah, the nightlife is pretty intense and definitely a great experience. Have to say, my favorite thing was Hell's Kitchen. So we ended up having dinner there, and probably the best meal that I've ever had in my life. And Fat Man, I know, Chris, you're in the house. Keg on steroids, because you just had the keg when you came down to CRB, and the keg is delicious, and we have to say it's a pretty good restaurant here. Yeah, it's a whole different feel, and it's really neat because you get the whole environment like you're on the show, but they don't have all the yelling and the swearing and stuff that you would get on the show. It's more of like a normal restaurant environment. But yeah, it was a blast. Did a lot of stuff. Those of you who've been to Vegas, I'm sure Fremont Street and concerts, and you first get there, and then I was kind of feeling a little too old to be there, and then you kind of loosen up, and then you get into the vibe and have a great time. So it was a blast, but definitely was missing home. We went and did some we went and visited different places to kind of get our little animal fix and see some reptiles, and because we were a little homesick at one point. But aside from that, it's nice to be home. It's nice to be back into the gecko room and to be back here to chat geckos. And the first thing I did when I came home, was to check on everything and make sure everything was okay. But even though our son Aiden did a great job farm sitting, he was fabulous. But definitely great to be back. So let's see who we got in the chat this morning. And we got Chris. I know I saw you. So Bam first. So Chris Eaton's in the chat. Thanks for coming to support this morning. And then we have my husband. So he's in the chat, but he's not sticking around. So he left this morning because we're getting into hunting season. So we're real in fall here. And now all the leaves are changing color. It's getting really, really cold at night. Still cooler during the day. So this is hunting season. So Gerald goes and hunts. I would say it's probably about 45 minutes from here, maybe 30 minutes. It's not that far. But he has a buddy of his that has a huge property. So he's gone now on Sunday mornings to go and bait and get everything sorted for the hunting camp. So he hops on to say hello, and then he loses reception because there is zero reception in the wooded area where he's going. And we got Tammy in the house. Good morning, Tammy. How are you? Thanks for joining. And we got Aquatic Moose in the house. Good morning, fellow gecko enthusiasts. Oh, you put a little coffee emoji. That's awesome. Very cute. And then Cassandra's in the house. Good morning, Cassandra. Hope you're doing well. The gecko room's in the house. Good morning. And I want the yelling and swearing. Yeah, part of me kind of wanted it too at Hell's Kitchen. I had heard someone had mentioned to me that they were in Vegas, I want to say a few weeks before we went. And Gordon Ramsay apparently did a guest appearance. So apparently he'll hop in once in a while into his restaurant and he'll go around and meet everyone at the table. So I was kind of hoping that we would be the lucky ones too and we'd get that, but that wasn't the case. But yeah, I mean, it was a great vibe. What else? There was another thing I was going to mention too, but it slipped my mind now. Gerald actually got picked. We did a variety show and he got picked to be one of the volunteers, and that was quite funny because out of all the people that were sitting there, they had to pick 4 and they looked at him and they're like, "You." And he's like, "Oh no." So he had to go up on stage and do some ridiculous, they put like a mask on him and it was like one of those like, Vegas ladies masks, and he had to wave every time they tapped his head, his shoulder, he had to wave and like blow kisses. So it was pretty entertaining. It was entertaining for me, but unfortunately, you're not allowed to take any pictures or video when you're in there, and they explicitly tell you when you're in there, if you take any, they're going to kick you out. So I was laughing like hysterically, and I wish I could have gotten at least a little clip of him doing that. I'm sure the guys on the Lamest chat tonight would have absolutely loved it. But yeah, I couldn't. I probably could have sneaked. I was right in the front, so it would have been really obvious if I went and took a little picture. Anyways, I think we got, that's all the shout outs I have. If anyone wants to get a shout out in the morning, pop your comments in the chat and I'm happy to give you shout outs. And I think we'll jump in right into the tea because there's a lot of things I'd like to share from this week. So let's bring this up. All right, so I saw the Gecko Room in the chat, and this weekend, Gecko Room and Gecko Nerd did a live stream on Palm Street, and also I believe Cresty Works did one. There was actually a few of them, and to my surprise, I was very excited, and I'd love to share. For those of you who don't know yet, Canadians can view Palm Street. So I know there's a bunch of people that were looking at getting VPNs to be able to access it. We don't need that anymore. So now you can actually join in. You can go and follow. We were able to kind of follow people before, but you could never see anything on the page. So now you can set notifications when people are doing live auctions. You can set the notification for it to pop up on your phone. And now you can watch it. So that's super exciting. Very cool. I have to give them a shout out on that. It's very, very different than how the auctions were happening on YouTube or on, some people were doing them on Instagram. It's neat because it's like a little auction where you have a button at the bottom and it pops up with the bids, and as people are bidding, it like increases to the next available bid, and then you have kind of like a little timestamp. So American people, if you've been on there, you know how it works, but I know I have a lot of Canadians that listen to it, and definitely worth checking out. The only little thing that you have to check, because you have to set up an account if you're going to bid. So you have to kind of put payment on file and shipping. So the one thing I did notice that's worth noting is that some of the sellers will have an option to put an address or for local pickup. And if you have to put an address, it'll only accept a US address. So you'll want to kind of connect with some, like a friend of yours in the States or whatever, and see if they're good to put their address or figure something out. Because not all sellers will have both options. And for sellers, it's good to have that option if you're making it available to sell to Canadians, because if you're putting the local pickup, then someone can select that and then they can coordinate with the seller after to do the export. So Cassandra's popping in here. Wait, really? Finally, I can lurk there? 100%. And it's actually a lot of fun. And the other cool thing that I discovered is once you have it once you've opened the auction, you can like just kind of shut down the app, and you can still do other things on your phone and hear what's going on in the background. So it doesn't just shut everything down. So when you get out of it, you can still like go and do stuff that you're doing on Instagram, or I actually was able to take videos of my geckos outside while an auction was playing in the background. And then if I heard something I was interested to look at, then I could just pop back into the auction. So that was kind of neat that it was still playing. I'm sure, I don't know if my husband's still listening. Maybe he's in a dead zone, because if he's listening, he's probably shaking in his head and he's like, don't let her connect to this. He knows that I love auctions, and it's a good vibe. And then you can find some really awesome animals and support great breeders out there. So definitely check it out. I think it would be really cool too to eventually expand it as well and see some other breeders of different species to maybe partake in it. Ball python people, you're missing out, because it's really cool. Go check out the gecko auctions on there, because it was mainly plants before, right? So they're kind of now expanding into the geckos. But yeah, it's awesome, and Canadians can now access it. The other cool little shout out I want to give is to Natty from Natty's Micro Pets. So this weekend is the Maritime Reptile and Pet Expo in New Brunswick. And so they're I want to say they're 3 hours ahead of us. So they're at noon now. So it's like they're right in the thick of it. And Natty was one of our earlier guests on Coffee and Cresties. And this would be her, I believe she said it was her second expo. So it was her first expo with having reptiles and not just, I might be getting that backwards, but I think she did one where it was just the bugs and the spiders and the isopods. And this is her first one where she's actually including the geckos into it as well. But give her a little shout out. I think it's awesome to see, new breeders going out there. The whiteboard in the back is magnetic because she does all these really cool little jumping spider accessories for your enclosure. So she'll do like little ropes and little platforms and things. So it's kind of neat that she can just kind of stick them on there using the magnet. But for the first year of vending, she's doing an awesome job. She has a bunch of isopods here and some jumping spiders in the back and feeders and such. And then she had on the other side, I don't think I have the picture here, but she had on the left side a bunch of enclosures that were already set up and stuff, pre-made, ready to go. So go and give her some love. She's sharing posts on her story, and just wanted to give her an awesome shout out because it's really neat and to see, people doing really well in their business and being able to go to expos and promoting. In her case, she's promoting a lot of creepy crawly things that a lot of people are scared of, and she has the big pictures of the jumpers that when you see the pictures up close and you see all those big eyes, people are like, oh, actually, that's not so scary. That's kind of cute. And then they kind of come around to it, right? And they're not as scared of the spiders as they used to be. So that's exciting. Positive win for Natty. The other thing is I posted yesterday for people to share some positivity on Instagram, and I got a couple submissions. So one of them was that someone was very excited. Some of the projects I've seen from upcoming smaller breeders really excite me. That's a really positive thing, and I 100% agree with that. There's been a lot of smaller breeders up that are like newer breeders that are getting into the game that are really coming in focused, and they have, a really good idea of what projects they want to work on, and a lot of really innovative projects, which is really exciting. So you're kind of seeing a good variety of different things, and not everybody working on the same thing and just kind of producing all the same thing. So I echo that. I think it's awesome to see a lot of upcoming breeders that are working on some really cool stuff. I know in Canada we have a couple that did some imports and brought in some sable. There's a small few that are working with xanthics and cappuccinos, but everyone seems to be working them in different focuses. So not all the same project just to make a cappuccino. Like some people are like, we're going to make empty back cappuccinos, and others are doing like, specifically lily white, or empty back with xanthic, or high white pattern. Or so it's kind of neat to see that they're taking the newer genetics that are coming out and then focusing on really niche things. And we got one more submission. Was the breeder boom of the past 5 years are starting to really lock in their projects thanks to the new morphs and extensive information about traits and inheritance. And so that kind of follows suit with the last comment. Again, 100%, there's a lot of people that are really narrowing their focus. And I think that all the information that's being shared about genetics, I know that Little Monsters, they've put out a lot of stuff, updating the guide and sharing as many things that they've learned. There's been a really, intense, like deep talk about the pixel gene that we're still learning about. And there's still new stuff that keeps popping up all the time that we're still learning about and trying to prove out and figure out how it works. So I think it's only going to go up from here. It's kind of like, the ball python craze in its infancy when we had all these new stuff that was popping out, and, banana and all these exciting things. It seems like there's been a lot of stuff that's been around for a long time, and it's kind of neat that there's more of a focus on it now, and that, you'll hear like, oh, that's been around forever, but no one really kind of paid attention to that specific trait. And now we are, and they're actually including them in specific projects around that. So that's really exciting. I'm going to start doing that, where I'm going to be posting this on a weekly basis. And if you have things to shout out, people you want to shout out, things that you're finding super positive in the community, I would definitely appreciate it if you share it. It gets busy during the week and I don't always see everything. And sometimes, I'm sure a lot of you find the same thing. You all struggle where you're trying to find time to post your own stuff. So if you can, when you're on there and you're seeing something cool or you've heard something cool, just shoot me a DM even, or respond to that little post. And definitely I'll bring it back on the next Sunday and we'll talk about it. What's my husband saying here? Question for everyone. What time of year do you all prefer going to Expo and acquire more animals? That's actually a fun question. And that's one maybe we can post to a story today and kind of have an engaging conversation. I know that's a bit of a struggle. We don't have as many in Canada, and that seems to be up for discussion, where everyone's like, oh, when's the best time to go vend, or when's the best time, to go and go shopping at the expos. And there seems to be times a year that people prefer. But yeah, we were talking about this weekend, so that might be a good one to kind of pop up on social media today. And then we have Aquatic Moose. Cool to see people making things custom instead of just flipping mass produce things. 100%. It's one thing to buy a whole bunch of stuff for cheap through their mass produce and then just reselling it. I like to see the creativity, and I personally do have, actually I have it right here. I'm going to grab it. So I did get a little jumping spider from Natty. And then she sent me all these cool little things. So there's like this little hide, and it has a little rope that goes down, and there's a little like stick, and the one at the back, I don't know if you can kind of see it, but there's like a Starbucks cup in the back on a platform. And she's so creative, and she makes such the cutest little accessories. I love them. And it's not something that you can just find somewhere, right? And I like that she's making them herself, and that you're supporting a local business as well, which is awesome. Cassandra says, if I actually had a local expo, I'd go anytime. Maybe spring, fall for the preference, though. I think the fall ones are great, because the spring you get into summer, and a lot of people tend to have summer vacation plans. And you're not having the amount of people around that are really available to come. The fall ones are always my personal favorite. And then the ones right after, like the winter break, coming like right before spring, those ones are kind of, you're getting, Christmas is far enough away, and then you're getting into the new year and into the new vibe. And I always feel like I'm ready to buy stuff then too, because winter holds are just, coming to an end, and then you can get everything shipped to you. So that's fun as well. Gerald, I feel like in the fish hobby, fall is always bigger and summer is slow. It would make sense with expos too. Yeah, 100% agree. Well, I agree with that. Just what I was just saying, how summer might be a bit slower because a lot of people are kind of preoccupied with other things. Well, it's more about the hobby and staying busy with pets through the winter. And then the Gecko Room says, I'd go by all year round, but in Florida, so warm all year. Yeah, Florida is a whole different part of the of the world there. You guys have your own little bubble there. It's warm all the time, right? So you don't have, I guess, necessarily, I mean, other than when you're getting hurricane season, I guess that wouldn't be the most ideal time to plan shipping. It takes a ton of planning and effort. You want to make sure that it's a good time for people. 100%. All right. So lots of positivity in the community. Let's keep it going. And share what you can. And we'll post that question, I think, later on social media and kind of maybe do a poll. I think that would be a lot of fun. And so I think it's time. Let's bring out our guests today. So we're going to jump right into the intro. Good morning. How are you today?
Good morning.
Good. How are you?
Good. So we have Bethany and Logan here from Hatchlings. And where are you joining us from?
Ohio. So we're in a teeny tiny town, Arcanum, Ohio.
Yep. Right
Very
by
small.
I don't know if you know Dayton, Ohio, Columbus, Ohio.
Okay.
We're kind of like right in between there somewhere.
Like,
in a very, very small one. No, actually,
we now have three stoplights.
Yep. So
are you kind of like in the countryside?
Yeah.
Or yeah.
Okay. Like it's on a typical day. A typical day, you're going to see combines and you know driving down the main road. Any one day. I mean, it's
there. You go. Are you guys on a farm or a chunk of property, or is it just kind of like?
So we're like in town version of like a village. So we have a good yard and everything, but yeah.
Yeah, I grew up. We had this little town that my parents moved to there. They had bought a farm, but it was a little town that had one stop sign. So you're ahead of that because it was like one intersection. It was a 4-way stop, and that's all it was. And then they had those houses. You had houses with the yards and stuff, and it was just in the little town. And then after that, it went countryside all around everywhere.
Yeah.
But small town is kind of nice. You get that it's a different vibe, that's for sure.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes, in a busy world.
We were sitting here feeding geckos one day, and I'm like,
we heard sirens.
I hear a fire truck, and that was odd. You know what I mean? Like that's not normal.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and then I heard another one, and there ended up being a fire like right behind our house, and we didn't even.
Yeah.
We're like.
You don't hear stuff like that, so yeah.
Stuff like that.
Yeah. It gets to be really quiet, like where we are, because we're on a farm and it's a little side country road. It's off a main road, but we're far enough that you don't hear any of the cars really going by.
Right.
But you'll have, I would say probably regularly. We're near we're at a flight pathway for military helicopters. Wow. So we'll get and we have orange helicopters, a medical one that go from one hospital to another. Yeah. So it's always, you'll hear like a loud sound. You're like, there's a helicopter flying over, and you go, I'm like, hey, is it military or is it orange today?
Yeah.
You just kind of look out. So that's the biggest sound, I guess, that we have that kind of hovers over, right?
Right.
But yeah, it's kind of nice to be in the quiet, right? And
absolutely
not the hustle and bustle, and then you can kind of be in your little quiet gecko room.
Yes.
And in this stage of life, it's like, I wonder where we would be at if we were on a farm. I'm sure we would have
a lot,
1,000 cows, and
because you guys were saying you have quite a variety of critters, eh?
Yes, we have 5 dogs, 2.5 cats, because one goes in and out. We have 5 snakes, 2 bearded dragons, fish,
Yep. Emerald tree skinks,
emerald
tortoise,
tree skinks, tortoise, and
geckos,
geckos.
tarantula.
Tarantula.
She
Yeah.
hates it.
And then
Okay,
you
that's
just keep
fine.
adding. You'll go to an expo and you'll be
Yeah.
like, oh, that's really cute. I think I can make room for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're like, what's one more?
We'll go to expos, where we're vending, and I'm like, we're just spending. We're just spending. We're not
Yeah.
trading. We're not buying. We're just spending.
And then he turns over and he's like, where did you go?
Yeah. And
Like,
I could see her across the room, like working a deal with somebody. And I'm like, oh.
See, you guys are vending together, so you're able to get away. When we
Yeah,
went to CRBE,
Yeah.
my husband and I got 2 tables. So he did his with VIP Morse, and I did mine with Gecko Diva. And we were on our own. And we had some friends up from the States that came, and they were wonderful. They came and they helped us with the booth.
That's
But
awesome.
you have, when you have people helping, that you kind of feel bad, you don't want to get away, so we were less likely to shop. So that's the one thing I did miss when we were there, is I didn't really get a time to shop around and go, which I'm sure my husband was like, yes, he was
Yes.
like, this is wonderful, because when we've been to expos where we've done the booth together,
Mhm.
you're both standing there, and sometimes you both don't always need to be there. So
Yeah.
I'd be like, oh, I'm gonna go and look around, and he's like,
Exactly right.
"Mhm." And then at one expo, I came back with a panther chameleon, and he's like, why did you get this? And I'm like, well, I have an empty enclosure because the chameleon had passed away. And he's like, of course you do. And then the other time I came back with a chameleon gecko, and he's like, oh, of course. Like, there's always something.
It's always that empty enclosure that gets you, right? Like, it's just sitting there empty. Like, something could go in it.
Yeah.
Something.
Yeah, you're like, what a waste. And he's like, well, you can put it on Kijiji. I'm like, absolutely not.
Yeah.
Why would you do that? Why would you sell that beautiful enclosure? Oh, that's funny. So how long have you guys been breeding geckos? Like, how long has this been a thing for you?
So we're pretty new to the game.
Okay.
It literally this past year was when we really jumped in fully. We had a really traumatic incident happen in our family with our youngest daughter. She had her hip. We got a random X-ray for something else and found out her hip was crumbling. And had to have big surgery. So we ended up all being home a ton. And our oldest asked for a gecko, and then
I kept
we
saying
got a gecko, and then another. Well, I bought an enclosure, and then I just had it, and I was like, well, we have one, so we should get one. So it just kind of blew up after that this past year. So this will be our first like true and exciting breeding season.
Okay, awesome.
We're so excited.
I think we had 3.
We had
3 pairs?
3 pairs from 2024. So and they were like kind of just pairs. We kind of threw like wasn't a whole lot of understanding and just seeing what we got. So now this year we are so dialed in genetics and everything else. So
we kind of we tried to fit like 5 years of experience into like a summer trying to learn everything.
We're like there's people that don't dip our toe in, like we just like fully
I mean, we completely lived, breathed. I mean, it was crazy. Like we would be in our gecko room just having YouTube on or reading stuff, like just to constantly absorb knowledge and trying to decipher what's the right knowledge and what's the wrong, because it's out there definitely. And I think everyone has to go through that phase of doing it wrong,
and taking it all in,
and then we're learning. But like I remember when we first started, I wanted to do bio. I've done terrariums with just plants and stuff.
Okay.
And I'm like, I want to do the bioactive. So I got the bugs for everything, and I got the bugs and the plants and the dirt and the gecko. And I'm like, well, the gecko needs humidity. So and then the plants need water. The bugs like humidity. So, and then I didn't have like swampy soil, but we ended up having an issue with fungus gnats. And we learned from that. I'm like, all right, we're just misting for humidity, and that's it. It took a while to rid.
But I feel like we're on a good path, and so it'll be our second like true season, and we've gotten in touch with a lot of breeders that a year ago I never would have imagined. Like sitting here talking to you, and then Kenny from Cold Blooded Only, he literally like took us under his wing so much. MP, we've got so close with her, and Christopia, and then now we've really been talking to the Gecko Room. a ton. So having all
Awesome.
the amazing people like around is awesome.
Yep.
Helps so much. But yeah. So.
Yeah, and I find that there's, people will sometimes say, there's so much negative and stuff. There's so many great people I
Yes.
find in the industry, and there's a lot of people that are, if you find the right breeders, like there's a good
Yeah.
group and a good network of people that are willing to help you and help you kind of guide you along or troubleshoot something or answer questions, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I'm finding too, and it's awesome that you're able to kind of find, your people, that you're able to
Yes.
kind of
Yeah.
help
The
you with
community,
things. It's
yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
And we're getting to where now we have one solid breeder starting that
We're helping.
we're helping him kind of get started and figure out his projects and where he wants to be. And it's just kind of cool how you transition from the learning phase and we have a lot more to learn, don't get me wrong, but
Yeah.
you kind of transition into this teacher phase,
Helping someone else. Yeah.
I was just talking to Agape Geckos
Mhm.
on Instagram earlier this morning, and the positivity. It's like a lot of people talk about the negativity in the environment with reptiles, and it's like we really maybe we're blessed on that part, but we really haven't experienced it almost at all. Really,
Yeah.
It's been a lot of positivity. A lot of people help, and
Yeah.
so
That's awesome. And you're coming in at such a cool time too, because there's so much.
Yeah.
Like you're saying, like I know when I had first got into it, there wasn't nearly as much of like the genetics had just started to like really they were talking about it and they had just posted the info and like and I found it a lot to take in, and it took a while to kind of really wrap your head around it. And I came from having the ball python knowledge, right? So I'm trying to look at the genetics similar to ball pythons, where you're looking at recessive and codominant and like how you can do like combos and stuff, where it is different with geckos. It's not the same as it is with ball pythons, right? But there are a lot of similarities on how it works, but it does take time and to also develop that eye, right? To see like what are you looking for? And I still struggle. I'm like, okay, is that a cappuccino or is that not a cappuccino? Like that one for me, it's a tough one.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's and I like to invite when people say, "Hey, can I show you my gecko and tell you what
Which
the
we
morph
had
is?"
someone this morning.
Yeah, because like that helps me keep my my
kind of
eyes
take
sharp.
a minute and you looking at it and you're like thinking about all the different things, which and for me it was exciting us getting into geckos because I've always loved animals and reptiles, and Logan he loves them now.
But I have a break. I have a
he can say no, I cannot, and I have dragons, so that was like my first. I got obsessed with Dragon Smart and her breeding and learning and this and that, and that wasn't something I wanted to do, but it kind of led into geckos being this awesome thing. And getting him used to some reptiles and then just exploring.
So how long did it take before you got like from when your daughter got the gecko till you decided? Because I have to say for me, it started when we got a ball python for our daughter. And I have to say it was probably 3 weeks later. And I said, I want my own ball python and I really like a pied. And I was on Morph Market searching for a pied ball python, right? And it was that quick.
So he went to pick up the Crested Gecko for our oldest, Violet, and told the lady, my wife will probably be back at this reptile store. Like it's a really good place and this and that, and they're awesome. They helped us a lot. And he brought her gecko home and I was like, I need one. Like, I need my own. So we got Violet from school, surprised her with her gecko. I was like, okay, you and your dad are going to set this up. I will be back. And I went and got one. And then the next day I went and got a gargoyle. So that by 2 weeks later, we had 14.
Okay.
So it kind of
because I was
erupted.
I was pumping the brakes, like, no. Like, let's just keep it to a few. And then like I'm sitting here, I'm researching, I'm looking, and
we got
you could do bioactive with the bugs and stuff. Like, that's so cool. And then I'm like,
so it just
I
grew.
want one.
And then you get in the reptile like pages on Facebook that are around you. And I found like a little old man in his golden years that someone was like, I just don't want him anymore. So it's like, I want him.
I'll take him.
His name is Toast. He's a spaz, but so it just grew quickly. So within 2 hours, I was back at the reptile show the reptile store getting Viva, which is now V because it was.
That was probably the shortest turnover
Yeah.
from pet to I
We're
want
shaking.
more that I've probably heard.
Do this. All in.
I knew driving home, I'm like, this is not good. This is not good. Because even when I first held it, like at first she wanted a leopard gecko.
Violet did, yeah.
Our daughter. And we went and looked at the leopard gecko, or I went and looked at the leopard geckos, and they're like hissing at me and jumping at me and biting me. And I'm like, this is not.
They're not
cool.
all like that.
Well, I know they're not,
Yeah.
but and then they're like, well, have you ever seen a crested gecko? And I was like, I've heard of them, but I've never really seen one or held one. And I held it, and I was like, this thing's, just like we were talking yesterday.
They're like
as soon as you
puppies.
hold one, you'll want
Yeah.
one. And that's what happened to me. And I'm like, this is not going to be good when I get this.
But it honestly was something that, with everything we had gone through, it kind of pulled all of us in. Our youngest was afraid of reptiles, and it opened a door for her. And it made our family just grow so much closer. And even like marriage wise, like I'm sure with you and your husband, like you guys having your stuff, like you get to talk about it so much, and it's a whole nother level of connecting in a way.
And sometimes it causes some turmoil, but
Well, there's another couple I know that do their business together. They're Canadian, and is actually Rouge River Geckos, and they do it like date nights. Like they'll travel to the States for expos, you know, and it's like, even if you're not vending, I just want to go out and meet the people in the community and see what it's all about. And you end up making it as, like, let's be real, date nights, and I know he's not listening because he's out in the bush, but if he was, he'd probably agree and then shake his head. But yeah, we're not going out for date nights. Like, it just doesn't happen. You get into kind of this, and it's not that there's like no romance or anything. It's just, you're your family, you have kids, life gets busy, you work, right? And it's like, oh, do we really want to go out when we can just order something in? But when you're going to do things like, we'll go to Toronto when there's an expo that we're not vending at, we'll just go just to see people. And it's kind of nice because you get the drive there and then drive back. And
road trip.
You kind of have that time together, which is kind of cool.
Oh,
and I find it helps when you have that support with each other.
Yeah.
It's definitely, I mean, it does come with its once in a while.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I do appreciate the different rooms for that, but
you have a sometimes there's been days where we're like
I'm like, you go and do yours over there, and I'll be over here.
It was just kind of like having music playing and we're just kind of silent, but that's just.
But it does become. I mean, we put our kids to bed and then we go in the gecko room.
It's our time, and we
take care of things.
Yeah.
Do you guys have your own projects kind of like you're working on? Do you guys have like a different zone within the room? Is it kind of like, these are my geckos and these are yours? Or?
Similar, kind of. As far as like baby bins, everything is kind of together but separate. And then our adults, we do have it pretty much like that. Like my Dalmatians are mostly on this side of the room, mixed in, and then his are on the opposite side, and our daughters.
Okay.
Because that side of the room is bigger.
That just kind of happened. We didn't. Even create.
I think it's because like when we're feeding them, I'm like, well, I would like to look at mine.
Yeah.
I would like to hold.
I want to hold my Dalmatians.
Yes. So it just kind of happened that way. Yeah.
That's awesome.
So
I love hearing about the kids who learned about to love Scaly Friends. I feel like it unlocked like a childhood memory the first time I held a Crestie. Those little sticky hands that you throw out the window, and that's the number one thing that I tell when a kid is like nervous to hold one. I'm like, do you know those little sticky hands you get in the machine? They're like, yeah. They go, it feels just like that. Like, no way, they don't believe you, and then you just like plop a little gecko in their hand, and they start laughing.
Yeah,
it feels like that. I'm like, yes, it does. And then they get all excited about it. But it's like almost takes that fear away from them to have to like hold it.
It makes it fun. It makes it like a different,
Yeah. The first time that the gecko jumps out of their hands and hits the ground, I love seeing their face. They're like, like they broke it. And I don't know.
He's like, he's fun.
I've been up like our ceilings are 10 feet. We don't have them go all the way up, but I've been at the very top, pull one out to do something, and it jumped off from like 7.5 feet up, and it's like, excuse you, you're just okay. Like, I still kind of get that face myself. Like, okay, you're moving, you're good.
So how long did it take you guys to come up with your name? Was it like
I
right away? Because it is clever with the last name because it works, right?
So we argued over this. This was an argument. I literally, when he went to get the Crested Gecko, I was like, oh, we could have a little business. It'd be called Hatchlings, like in my mind. So then that night after I got my gecko, I was like, listen, this is amazing. And listen, our name is perfect. Hatchlings. He's like, that is so dumb. And then it kind of grew on him. And then I told other people, I'm like, so isn't this awesome? Isn't this perfect? Like, yeah, that's like perfect. And I think it grew on him within a week. And he's like, okay, it makes sense. It's good.
Even it's funny because we were watching an auction from AJD Reptiles on his YouTube live, and then when we first bought one, he said he laughed. He's like, "Oh, Hatcher's Hatchling," and he started laughing. He's like, "I'm guessing that's your last name."
Yeah, it makes sense perfectly. So like now it's nice. Like it's just an easy.
Yeah, yeah. I like it now.
Yeah.
I'm all for it now.
It grew on you.
Yeah.
I'm like,
I'm like, our last name is perfect.
That's
You can't
too easy.
put that away like that.
We created that one too easy. We didn't think on it.
And I love the logo too. It's cute with the gecko.
Krista's Critters. She made it. She made our logo, and I remember explaining to her, I'm like, I sound like a nut job, but does this make any sense? She's like, it's good. I got it. I got it. She was amazing and put it together. So
very good to work with.
So amazing. So yeah,
I find that like the artists, like when you give them, like you feel a little nutty when you're like, this is what I want. And you're like putting your vision on paper and you're like, there's so many details. And I feel like they're going to think that I'm like, what is with this person? And they appreciate it so much because they see the vision, right? And then they can just make it a reality. It's like, they don't have to put that extra thought into like, okay, like what am I going to do that this person I don't know is going to like?
Right.
And then pretty much put everything, laid it down on the table for them.
Yeah. So then they don't like it. And what if they don't like the
artistic like curves that
you make all these logos for them for someone that gives you no direction, and then you send them to them and they're like, oh, I don't like any of them. You just put all this work into Gecko.
Well, I remember literally I sent the message and I was like, Logan, I think she might send our deposit back. She might be like, I'm out. And she was like, this is amazing. So much detail. I was like, okay, you got this. And it was amazing.
Yeah.
So easy.
But it makes them more personal to you because and it's even more exciting when you see the artwork after because you have a vision in your mind and you're like, okay, I'm sorry, there's so many details, but this is what I'm like. Even for mine, I was like, I want a lipstick on the coffee mug and the coffee mug say this, and I want this color and this, and it was like super detailed. And then, but when you get it, you're like, that's exactly what I wanted.
Yeah, like get right out of your brain. Perfect.
Yeah, because it just says you're not crazy. We love details.
Yes.
Yeah, and looking, putting myself in their shoes, I would think
more details about it. I do hair, so for me, like the more that somebody can tell me that they like and don't like and want and is perfect. So it makes sense to be that way too.
Yeah, I find that I've done it both. Like I went where I gave a lot of details. Most of the stuff that I use is stuff that I've given a lot of details. There was one instance where I was like, I want you to use creative liberty. And that was the only time that I was disappointed.
Yeah.
Yeah. That makes sense. I mean, yeah. Because a lot of, you're paying for it too. So you're like, I'm going to use this for a purpose. So yeah.
You don't want to be nagging.
Yeah.
I don't like that. I don't like this. Change this.
Yeah.
There we go. Cassandra says, my art pet peeve is hearing just do what you think is best.
Yeah.
That's a tip for everybody listening, okay? When you're wanting to do logos and artwork, the artist wants to know what you want.
Yeah.
In great detail.
Yeah. Hey, that is how it is in hair too. I will say that is.
Or you'll get the picture of like, I want hair like this. It's super unrealistic. Like that's photoshopped,
Yeah. Because you were saying you're a hairstylist professionally as well. So yeah, you must get a lot of that where like you're like, make me over, and you're like, no, I really want to know what you want.
Yeah, they'll say, well, do what color you think would look best on me. I'm like, that's not helpful. You may hate what I think looks best on you. So yeah. But
oh yeah, and that's stressful because that's like part of their identity when they walk out and you're like, I really want you to like it. I don't want to do something you're gonna not like.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So you sent me pictures of some of the geckos you wanted to share. And for those listening, they get extra geckos because they're 2. So we're not going to look just at 5.
We totally
And
bonded.
they have their own, you have your own projects. So,
Yeah.
we got to show, what you're both working with.
Yeah.
So let's pop the first one up. So whose gecko is this one?
Mine, Raggedy,
Okay.
Raggedy Ann. She is part of one of my tricolor, obviously, but she's my
Okay.
part of. I think I'm gonna have one pairing of high orange that I'll use a couple generations down the road. But I just want to produce in house the high orange now instead of when I need it, going to have to look for it and buy it. So if I can create what I want now, what I'm gonna need now, But we got her from HKD Geckos. HKD
Okay.
Geckos, yeah.
Mhm.
Yep. Which they're
Awesome. You
with
have a lot of high orange stuff there, eh? Like really
Gorgeous.
white color. Yeah. So she's going to be part, like you're focusing more, like you're saying, you're producing more of a high orange
the highest orange I could
project.
possibly make. Yep.
Yeah,
So,
and that's such a great way to kind of start off when you're new in the projects. Is sometimes some of the geckos you want are just way out of reach budget wise or just availability. And you're like, this is what I want to work with. And if you have the ingredients to try to make it early on, then why not? Right.
and the patience, right? Because
Yeah.
I want it now, but then I'm like, I don't need it for a couple years at least. So I'm like, why not just
produce it?
Yeah, like you said, the ingredients now and make it myself, and then it's my own in-house. You know what I'm saying? So, absolutely.
And I find too, when you have that time, like if you're producing what you're wanting, you still need that time to hatch out and grow up the one that you produced. And then during that time, you tend to find other geckos that will fit and complement that project well. And then you're in a place where you're growing them all up together, or, like you can kind of, that's where I'm finding myself now. Like I have some like next season, I believe is the first season where I have some of my hatchlings that I've held on to, that I've grown up, that I'll be able to kind of incorporate into projects, right, for 2025. And I've had the last 2 years to kind of find things that I feel is going to work well with the ones I've held back. And it gets really exciting.
Yes. And that's
awesome.
One thing that we kind of have agreed upon is, I want to create these high oranges, but if they hatch out all phenomenal top tier high orange tricolors, we're not keeping them all. We've kind of limited, we've limited ourselves
to so many holdbacks.
1 to 2, no more than, because we don't want to just be breeders of high quality geckos. We want to be, people that are producing for people that would like a high quality gecko. We don't want to just hold on to the high qualities because we have them.
Yeah.
We want to actually,
And Kenny has instilled that in us.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. It's.
You want to share it with others, right?
Yeah. We don't want to. We want to share our creations with other people. We don't want to just hold on to them. So we've 1 to 2 or 2 max, and any other good ones that would be holdbacks we want to share with people. So we want to be done for good, high quality geckos.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And then who's this one here?
Montu. So he is from KDS Geckos, and I contacted them looking for more like higher white tricolor, but they kept showing me stuff, and they have
amazing,
phenomenal geckos, and nothing was really just saying yes, let's get that one. And then they said, well, we do have one. We weren't, it's not for sale yet. We're thinking about it. If you want him, he's one of our proven breeders, and I seen him, and I'm like,
I don't think I've ever seen him so excited.
I was
like, that's the one.
I said, yes, I'll take it before they told me a price.
Yeah.
I was like, yep, I'll take him. I want him.
So he said,
ship him today if you can.
Right. Yes.
And it's like, and he's like, he's my baby.
And he's produced for them. Like they used him.
Phenomenal.
So Montu has amazing lineage and genes.
You can't see in the picture, but his head is a mile wide.
Huge.
I mean, you could land an airplane on that thing.
Yeah.
And it's nice when you get a proven breeder too, because you can see what they've produced, right? And with different combination with different females and such. And it's neat if you can see that there's a consistency when you're breeding it with a specific type of a female and such, right?
And I just really liked his. So fun fact, I'm colorblind, and
Okay.
be like, how do you do this and be colorblind? My job is very color intensive too, so it's kind of ironic that I'm in the fields I'm in, but I see it as like a Dijon-y color, mustardy. And I absolutely love his color, and being able to get that into tricolors, I think it'd be a unique color tricolor. You know what I'm saying? So if I can get the more distinct tricolor pattern in a consistent color like him, be amazing. You just you don't see many tricolors that color. You know what I mean?
I find it's funny. I'm always surprised how many people breed geckos are colorblind, because AJ is colorblind as well, and he can't see green. So I know when we're at auctions, I have my green project, so they'll bring something up on the auction. I'm like, oh, is that green? Because it looks green. He's like, honestly, I couldn't tell you. He's like, I don't know if it's the camera or if it's He's like, I can't tell you if it's green because I can't see it. Like,
we have an olive phantom that I swear this thing's orange.
It's not
orange. I'm like, it's orange all day long, and she's like, no. I'm like, you're
not at all.
That's one of those things we get into.
So I send a picture to someone else. What color is this? Thank you. Verify that.
Oh, that's funny. So is he going to be, I guess he's going to be part of like your tricolor project as well. Are you looking at like doing like keeping that extreme Harlequin kind of like the triple X look?
Yep. And actually I do have a triple X that came from triple X pairings. So
okay.
I didn't send those pictures, but they're definitely going to be mixed in with the oranges. Yep.
Yeah.
I like the broken up extreme Harlequin look. I like the blocky orange, tricolor look too, but
we like all of
them. I just like it all. I mean, and tricolor, it's funny because tricolor we didn't entertain at all. Like we were,
and then it just all at once.
I'm like, we got one, and then I saw the orange and the reds, and I was like, I want them all. I want every tricolor, send them away. But I definitely go a different direction than most. Everyone seems to start with tricolors, and it's. I want to go different directions with it. Yeah.
Just like everybody else, you kind of have your own project,
right?
Yeah, the red tricolors are really cool. I have a red lily tricolor that I just realized was a red tri, and the yellow against that red, and like it just really pops. It's like they definitely have their place. It's never been one that I got like super into because there's only so many projects you can work with, right? So you tend to kind of gravitate to the ones that you really, really connect with. But now I've hatched some tricolors this past season, and I'm like, oh, yeah they're really nice.
And it's like they hatch out and you're like, is that a tricolor? That doesn't look like a. And then as it hits like 10 grams, you're like, holy cow.
Like, well,
orange.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, here's another try. So tell me about this one.
Glorious from Cold-Blooded Only. She was another one that I was like counting down the minutes to where I could get into the FedEx to get this thing. But her and Montu, I don't even think I've made it public yet.
I don't know. Yeah.
They are.
That's the pairing.
Yeah, that's the pairing. We
2025.
2025. Yep. And I'm eager. I'm like, I'm just gonna pair them now. And actually, we did pair them together, and I don't think they locked.
It's like a late
season pairing. But it didn't. I don't think they locked. And 30, 45 days came and went, and we still haven't had anything. Almost.
But she's proven and he's proven. So next season it'll be a good.
Oh, absolutely. But it's I was like, this late, it didn't. If it didn't lock, then we'll just wait.
And we were very thankful. And I feel like we were like lucky when we were talking with Kenny, and he did show him Glorious and offer to sell her to us as he's kind of like getting moving different things around. Never would I have imagined that we would have had her such an amazing gecko.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And then we got something different.
Yeah.
So
that actually, I would say it's Violet's.
Yeah. So this is what Violet. Is that Golden? No, that's the male for Golden Girl. Yeah. So our daughter, she's kind of working on her own project, and she has We run, we're going to run some social media for her called Ultraviolet Geckos. And she really loves like the lavender and the golds. Like, so she has a female that this male will be eventually paired to. She just fell in love with the colors and the texture. And, you know, she's 8. So for her, she's like, this one's beautiful. Like, it's fun. So he was a holdback that we're just holding on to. And
I just love
getting him
the
grown out.
gold outline and the
gorgeous.
tangerine, like, and then the lavender brown. It's just like every time I get him out, I'm like, I don't know if we're gonna keep him. And then, then he's fired down, and I'm like, oh, we're keeping him.
Yeah, and Violet always was more drawn to like dark. Like she's very like me and her are very like into the dark and black. Of everything, black clothes, everything. That's just who we are. But so seeing her go towards something more like this was exciting and surprising. So this will be a male. She hasn't named him yet.
Okay.
When he fires up, he's black.
Yes, but I mean, as fire, So
he's dark.
Yeah, it's just a neat little.
So I don't know if you've seen the stuff she produced, but April over at the Gecko Hub, she's a Canadian breeder, and she does a lot of like one of her main like passion projects is the lavenders and wanting to bring that bright kind of like orange contrast to the lavender, which is really neat too. So she might like some of the stuff that she has going on, and she also does some tricolor stuff too.
Perfect.
Yeah, we follow her. I've checked out a lot. She has some beautiful and neat like tigery textury stuff too. That's awesome.
Yeah, no, I love the lavenders. That's one thing. Like the hypo stuff for me, like the greens and the lavenders and stuff. The yellows, like that's one of my favorite. And you can I find it makes the complementary like patterns and stuff really pop, especially if you get like a soft scale in there, then you really see like the outline to it and the contrast.
Yes. Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, that's neat that your daughter's also wanting to have her own little side hustle, right?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
And this one here, is that one of hers as well, or?
Nope, this one is actually a pearl.
Yep. So she's from KDS too.
Yep. So she is only about 5 grams lily white. She's a lily white, and she is nearly, I would say, 95% covered in white already at 5 grams.
Yeah, she's pretty bright, eh?
She sent. So I was looking for the highest coverage lily I could find, and they said we don't have anything that's older, but we did just have one hatch out a few weeks ago, and it's growing really well already. And it did have to gain some more weight, but I think they sent it to me at like 3 grams at nearly, and it was probably 85% coverage then. And then just within 2 grams, it was almost completely white. I'm like, this thing's got a lot to grow yet. And it's nearly going to be 100% coverage.
Yeah. So that's a baby you're growing out for future seasons and to kind of add into projects later with.
I had to pump the brakes on lily whites because we at one time we had like 12, 15. I mean, it was
literally.
I'm like, all right, now I need to kind of filter what I want to keep and what I'm not going to use because obviously, we're not sitting here pairing lilies, which I wish you could. I mean, it would be amazing, but it's can't have 30 lily whites. It's just
yes, you can.
Right.
You can have whatever you like.
One more.
But it's
but that's definitely like a baby that you're like obsessed in keeping.
Oh my gosh, I probably weigh her. I'm saying her because I hope it's a her. I don't know yet.
Yeah.
But I probably weigh her at least once a week. Like, she gained 1/4 gram.
Yeah, literally.
She gained 1 gram.
She feels heavier today. I think she's heavier.
Yeah, I'm on the same page. I love lilies. And I know like people kind of like got a little over it, and then the lilies kind of took a little bit of a backseat for a while, but I still think there's so much you can do with it. And it's like people are just making lilies with lilies and just adding base color. But now with the empty back and the super stripe and all the other stuff like the caps and the xanthics and I think that there's so much more that you can do with it and see how it interacts.
I feel like it's like a tricolor. If you look back, like I've looked back at markets and stuff where they've always they fluctuate in price, but they always tend to hold their own as far as value compared to everything else. And I feel like lily whites are that same way. Like
They keep their, and I feel like they just look elegant, so they're eye catching. People
And
are
a lot
like,
of
that
people
is
ask
beautiful, and it shows what people think they're
Do you have
beautiful.
lily whites? Do you have lily whites? I mean, people message us, hey, do you have lily whites? And it's like, I just don't feel like they're going to be one that's going to
Go away.
not
like
go
die
away,
down.
but yeah, there's always going to be a demand, I
Mhm.
think, for lily whites.
Well, I have a little one of my projects for next year, which I have the tangerine stuff I brought from Europe, and he's a lily. Um, and I have a Halloween soft scale female. So I'm like, I really want to see
Off scale.
Halloween lily. Like I want like the lily, but it to have like the Halloween look
That
with the
dramatic.
orange and black, right?
That would be cool.
So
That would be
yeah, it'd be really neat. So we'll see. Like I'm sure it's gonna take some time and some years of like
cool. Yeah.
stacking the tangerine and stuff to kind
Yep.
of really get to what
Yep.
you want to see. But you have to start somewhere, right, to do
Right.
it.
Yeah.
And you can pack the lineage into those geckos as you do it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So
Exactly,
Well,
and get the
that's the thing.
structure and the big head, and
Yes.
and really, yeah. So we'll see what happens. But I every once in a while I'm looking online, like, has someone made something that looks like that yet? Like, I really want to
Right.
see what it looks like, and I haven't yet. Like, I've seen some high tangerine stuff
Yeah.
with Lily, but not with the full. And hey, if anyone's listening and has seen something like that, send it my way because I would love to see it and
Yeah.
know what the ingredients were to make that. Because like to really get that dark base, but that high contrast
Yeah.
orange, but the
Yeah.
orange being the lily, which would be really cool.
Gorgeous.
That would
It'd
be.
be gorgeous. For
Yeah.
Sure.
And then like in this case, it'd be all orange. If you
Yeah.
put
Yeah.
tangerine in it, right?
Yes.
Awesome. And then we got another try here. So who's this one?
So this is no. She does not have a name yet.
No, she does not.
We just got her, and I fell in love with her from H&H Cresties.
Mhm.
Yep, and she's local to us, about a 2-hour drive.
Okay.
I wanted her, and she actually surprised me. I was like, no, we don't need to spend the money. You know, we
Yeah.
don't need to buy her. And she actually surprised me with her dad because her dad was for sale too, and
Okay.
he looked just like her when he was younger. So, she surprised me with him. And when I was driving down there to get him, she kind of worked an amazing deal out with me to get her as well. And I'm like, why are you doing this to me?
Yeah.
You know, it's like, and I ended up getting
And it
her
was
too.
great, yeah.
And so now she's just going to be another tool in my high orange lineup.
Yeah.
That's
So I'm
awesome.
stoked. I like her fringing, you know, up around her crest, the white, you
And
know,
the
I love that in
yellows
the
and
tricolors
oranges.
on the orange base, like
Yeah.
that white that follows up their crest is just, it's like
Beautiful.
icing on the cake, you know, literally. Like it just looks like
Yes.
icing on, you know.
Like an outline
Yeah.
on your head.
Well, that's
Yeah.
awesome. And now we're getting into your stuff, Bethany. So we're getting into some dolls now, eh?
So this is a
Dash.
baby. Yeah, we call him Dash. He was a project that was put together by Cold Blooded Only in Crestopia. So Sam was awesome and sent me a couple of dowels for an amazing price to grow out. And he's one that's stuck with me. He's just beautiful. He's got so much personality in his spots. And then he has his little Dash, obviously.
His head.
So he's precious. He's growing so much. He's so much, even looking at the picture, he's so much bigger now.
Yes,
He's
yeah.
went through like a huge growth spurt. So
Okay.
just kind of holding him back, seeing what he kind of becomes for later.
Yeah.
But that picture kind of makes him look a little bit muddy, but he's pretty clean.
Yeah, he is.
But he's developing more oil spots, which is awesome too, because it gives that like dimension. Yeah,
Awesome.
I love him.
I love the dash on the head. I find it cool with the dolls when they have really interesting looking spots,
Yeah,
They're like
personality.
making pictures, like some
Or
of them
like-
make like, yeah.
clusters and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is like my
Can do no wrong.
yeah. she gets extra bugs. She gets extra a little bit of everything. Her name is Golden Child. So she was produced by Cold Blooded Only, and she is so vibrant and bright. And that's where, with my dowels, my projects coming up, I really want to focus on that clean, just vibrancy.
Okay.
Where you don't get as much muddiness in the colors. So I have a little bit of both, I think, in projects in general. but she's literally as bright as that picture makes her look. So it'll
Okay.
be a good base to be able to have and work with.
Mm.
And she's developing more and more spots and getting some little red spots popping through too.
That's awesome. Well, it's exciting, and I know what you mean, because sometimes if you get an underlying pattern like a brindle or something, you tend to
Yeah.
get kind of a lot of extra shading with the base where it kind of can interact with the spots. Whereas with the
Yeah.
clean base, you really see those spots like pop,
Yeah.
right?
Crisp,
Yeah.
like the really crisp spots. Yeah.
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 So this is like my pairing that's absolutely not like that, but it's kind of one that I'm doing to just kind of like play with it and see. It's kind of like my just for fun.
Yeah.
So the male is the top one, and his name is Fang, and then the other one is a cappuccino Dow, actually, and that's Sage. So I got the male from AJD. He has
Okay.
like a darker Dow project going on, and it kind of just started like a little bit of a itch for me. I was like, well, I just want to see what happens. I already have the cappuccino,
Yeah.
and then when I got him, he's just so neat. He looks like an alligator. Like
Yeah.
literally, he just looks like an alligator in person. So they're just a fun little extra pairing to just kind of see what happens and know
Yeah.
how it all works.
Yeah. And I don't think a lot of people are working with caps and dowels, eh?
Right.
Yeah.
Because
Like-
it can there's a chance that it can cancel some certain things, but I'm like,
Okay.
who knows? I mean, really,
we don't
we're
know.
kind
We
of
don't
getting
know.
into genetics in a different way
Yeah.
in the world. So
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Dell spots. I mean, you do see a lot of Dell spots in caps. Like I just posted
Oh,
one
sure.
this week there where mine had just blew up with a bunch of spots in it.
Right.
But people I seem to want to like take the spots away. I know we were talking about this the other day.
Yes.
But you know, I have seen more people wanting to do some Dell cap
Yeah.
projects, and
Yeah.
it's interesting to see what's going to come out of those projects, because everything, like, it's still new. Cappuccino's still new, and we're just
Yeah.
seeing now people working in oranges and reds and really kind of seeing what we can do with it other than just putting cap into something.
Yep.
So it'll be neat to see what comes out of it, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Yeah. For sure. So these are two females that they won't be big enough for this year. So they'll be like hopefully in 26, but it's Fox and Trixie. Fox
Okay.
is a Tiki's gecko,
Mhm.
and actually Trixie is too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So Fox is just the most beautiful red, like mahogany kind of color.
Mhm.
So I really want to play off of her base so much, and
Unique
they
color for Dalmatian.
yeah,
You
it's
don't
just
see
something
that
you
color.
don't see. And then Trixie is just like that original, like nice, pretty pale yellow. And she has
Mhm.
really great structure and spots and everything else. So they're like future pairings, but that's one of my favorite pictures of them because I've had them since they were so little. So being able to, I'm going to do some progression pictures coming up to be able to show. Yeah.
That's awesome. Red is such a hard one to capture in pictures.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Frustrating.
You have to get like the right lighting for it.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh,
Yeah.
you still don't look the red I see in my when I
Yeah,
see you in
I'm like, if
person.
you want to come over and see her, just tell us. Like,
Sometimes
Yeah.
it's like you get that over bright, like glowing red,
saturated or
where it's like it almost looks fake, from the picture.
Yeah.
Then
Yeah.
It's like it almost looks brown because it's so dull.
right. And that's
washed
she's
out.
just mahogany. Yeah.
Says the colorblind one.
Yeah.
Right. Yes.
I can
I'm kidding.
see. I can see. It's like
No.
AJ, like
Yeah.
the greens and reds mess with me, and a lot of it is it's like shade blind. Like
Yeah.
different shades.
They
for different
blend
colors
together.
really,
Yeah.
really mess with me. So
It's funny because my father's actually colorblind, and the way he explains it is certain colors that are very close together are where he has a hard time.
yeah,
Like,
exactly.
just
Yeah.
to see the difference between like a blue and a green,
Yeah.
or it's like that shade difference where he's having a hard time like figuring out
Yeah.
what color it is.
Like a dark blue and a dark purple. You put them next to each other, and I'm like,
Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I have no clue. But then if you throw a red in there, like
Then
it's
it
like the
helps.
red helps pull out the red and the purple.
Yeah.
Like I don't know how to explain it really. It's hard to.
Yeah.
But like the blue greens, like a blue green, I'm like, no, it's gray. It's
Yeah.
gray. Like she's like, no, it's blue. I'm like, no, it's not. And then
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
Gecko Co's in the house. Good morning. I just got my first Cresty, and it's a Dalmatian. Yay! Coming over to the Cresty side now, eh?
Yes, that's awesome.
Fanning off those gargs. That's awesome. Oh, look at the spots on this one.
He's my favorite. Like, he was actually a gift. You got him for me. Surprised me with him. I don't know where you got him.
Oh, that was so early on.
But so this is O'Malley. He is covered in spots. He's not as like patterned as what the picture looks like. Logan took this with his Android, and it like pulls out every bit of dark that it can, I swear. But he has everything from like big ink blots to oil spots and some bullseyes. But he's going to be one of my main breeders going into this season. So I love him. He's just amazing.
Fringe Morse.
Fringe Morse, yes. Yeah, so
they have some nice Dal stuff there, eh?
Yes.
Amazing.
And he fires down so pale and pretty, and then when he fires up, he's just like the most gorgeous yellow.
Yes.
So yes, he's one of my favorites
right now.
Yeah.
See, this is the other great thing when you're doing it as a couple. Look, for Christmas last year, my husband got me a gecko and I got him a snake, and they were higher end projects. So, like, look what I got you, and I got you this. I'm like, it's coming next week.
Yeah,
How do you hide it from?
Right,
how do you keep
but
it?
literally, that's what. Yeah, that's how it happens, and it's great. And then you're not spending the money on your own. Yeah.
And it has happened like around Valentine's Day. I bought myself a gecko probably a week before, and then he was looking at a snake on an auction, and he's like, "Oh, like should I get this snake?" And I'm like, "Well, it's around the same price of the gecko I just bought last week." And he's like, "You bought a gecko?" And I'm like, "Yeah." So if you buy the snake, we can just say that we got it for each other because they're comparable. And he's like, "Okay." So then he's like, "Decision made. I'll go buy it."
Yes, I love that.
Yeah. Enabling each other.
Yeah, literally.
We got a red Dal now.
Yes, so she is so pretty. That's Caroline, and actually I keep looking over because she's in this enclosure beside me, and I must have did something loud because she like jumped up and like gave me the rudest little like "excuse you, I was sleeping" look a second ago. So she is from MP. She was my first red. And she's like a red orange, which is really, really pretty. And it has like the bicoloring and fringing. So she's going to be one of my main females for this coming to. I have a lot more pairings than you. So you're thinking about it. But she's got great structure, great personality, and she's getting more and more red spots, which is exciting. I got her out to feed when I was feeding last night, and like they're just like exploding everywhere. So very, very pretty.
I was gonna guess that was an MP gecko because I've been looking at so many of them lately for like a Dal project, and you can tell the style of the different pairings she has. It is really like apparent when you're seeing like the geckos. Like, oh, that's something I think she produced.
Yeah, and I have quite a few from her. Really, Megan is. Her lineage is amazing, and she worked a lot with Kenny too. So me and her have been able to play off each other, which has been awesome too. So I have a couple other males from her, and then I have a female that I'm going to be getting from her
she's
in a couple weeks.
Some killer stuff.
Yes, like amazing.
Those big red spots on some of those geckos are wild to me. And I know the Gecko Room's listening, and you're looking at you were talking to me about them too because you're working on a Dal project, and I just I can't get over some of the geckos she has with the size of the red spots.
That's so with working with Kenny too. We have some of his lineage and babies, and growing out some stuff, and the red spots that came from like his side of that lineage that in a few years, like we'll be able to have in ours. It's amazing when you look at that between hers and cold-blooded.
Because we want to buy it right now. You know, we want to go out and we want to buy those big splatter line red spots. I'm like, pump the brakes because I think the ones we have are and it's showing through. It's
and both were like, Bethany, you got it. You have it in there.
Be patient.
You're fine. You'll produce it. And
patience is the tough part because I'm the same way, and I'm like, I'm about ready to go and buy. Like, there's one gecko right now, in the States, and I'm not going to say it because I don't want anyone to go see it because I'm
Yeah.
thinking about it. But I'm like, oh, like it's so nice. But I'm like, but it's going to be so expensive to
Yeah.
import, you know? And I'm like, and if I just be patient, I could probably make it. But I'm like, but it would be so nice.
But I want it now.
That
Yes.
puts you out a few years, like, right? So
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. So I
I
mean,
get
there's two sides to every coin, right? Like you're like, if I get that, I might make what I want to make sooner
Now.
with it. But then you don't know how it's going to pair either, right? So at the end of the day,
Yep.
yeah.
Especially if you're getting it from someone you know has packed in lineage to where going back, even a couple generations, you can expect what's going to come out of that. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So,
100%.
yeah.
Yeah, I love
Oh,
mine is perfect. Yeah. So this
any of these guys here.
yeah, that's like a Mod Podge of some of our like really in the beginning. The lily white up top is Miss Mellow. She was one of our first geckos that I got him.
I wanted a lily.
Yeah, he wanted a lily so bad. So she's kind of like a heart gecko, like so much. What do I want to say? You're like emotionally attached.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I don't even
So
know if
she'll
I
be
wanna-
here forever.
I don't even know if I want to breed
And
her.
then
Like, I
yeah,
just want her as
she's like a pet. And then Clem is the cap.
Bottom left.
Yes, bottom left, and he is insane.
Absolute freak show.
Spaz of all get out, but his lineage and he's beautiful. He's amazing. And he's
Yep.
huge.
He'll go from a gunmetal gray to a black, and it's just crazy how big of a change there is. But if I open up his enclosure and try to get him out, he's bouncing off the walls, and then as soon as I get him out, I'm like,
Yeah.
you have to just keep going and wear him out, and then once he's out, he'll chill out and just be a finger monkey for hours. Like he'll do nothing but just chill.
Yeah. But yeah, we sent that to you because we thought it was just a neat. I love the pictures where you have like different ones all together, just kind of showing like we've got a little bit of everything we're working with, and we want to produce like a lot of different things.
We have our main projects, and our side project.
Yeah.
But, one thing that we've kind of has been brought to light just in the last few weeks is like, if she has 10 pairings and I have, we'll say, I think next year I'm going to have probably 4 or 5, and our daughter has 3 or 4. It's like
we're going to have so many.
Like, we really need to think about this. We're about to have 300 babies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, I love that picture.
It can catch up on you pretty quick, eh?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
So this is Bam. You thought it was Klaus.
I did.
This is Bam. So Bam will be paired with Caroline.
Mm-hmm.
They'll be one of my main pairs. Just to be able to really, I love the bicoloring. They both have that, and they both have all different spots. But I love that he has portholes, but they're kind of like extending into whites in other places, and amazing fringing. So it'll be really neat to see how it explodes. And his red spots when he fires down, I need to get a good picture of him fire. I'm always focused on firing them up to get pictures,
right?
But they're huge now. And he was from MP. So he did
with the red dowels, eh? You have to get like a fire down picture of them too to really see those red spots when it's on a red base like that.
Literally. And I want to play with kind of getting that red spots on other bases so you can really see them, but it's just figuring all that genetic work.
But the red spots out, really, it's like they look phenomenal fired down because you see the big bright red spots.
They're like always beautiful.
If they have the red spots. And then when they fire up, they're like this fire truck engine red.
Yeah.
And they just look amazing, both fired up and fired
I feel like
down.
not all morphs are like that, where like both sides are beautiful. So
absolutely.
I have fell in love with that look for sure.
Awesome. What's Gecko Cove saying? Yeah, it's a great point. How many pairs is too many for most people?
Yeah. I don't think people think of
you don't think of clutches and like
you don't think
when you start adding it up, you're like, oh. So
absolutely. I mean,
but it
depends on the season too, right? Like I was like, oh, I'm doing more pairs this year, but I'm not going to do as many because I don't want to be overwhelmed. But I had a really weird season this year where they weren't laying as many eggs as they usually do, and the eggs that they were laying, I would say maybe 60% of the eggs were viable eggs.
Yeah.
So, and I didn't do anything different, and their calcium is great, and their calcium sacs are great, and the temperature is fine, and the humidity is fine. It's just, And I'm not the only one who's having issues
Oh,
this year.
absolutely.
It
We've
seems
heard a
to
lot
be
of
a thing this year.
Yeah.
And we had the issue last year with the snakes, where the snakes ended up reabsorbing, and we only had one clutch last year.
Oh
Where
my
this
goodness.
year,
Wow.
all our snake females went.
Yeah.
So, you can pair to say, well, I'm pairing on the chance that not everyone's going to go.
Yeah.
Right.
But then you don't know, right? Like you can have a season where everyone's going to go. Like my one
Yeah.
female was her first time last year, and she gave me 10 clutches in her
Wow.
first season.
Wow.
And they were all great eggs. But
Wow.
then it's not always going to be like that, right? Every year.
Yeah.
So, and
It's kind of a guessing game.
Yeah.
yeah, and then like so you have some of them that you're going to get recipe, like you give them still, like you check them before you're breeding in the season, right, to see which ones are good to go and stuff. And
Right.
some of them you think are going to go, and some of them won't.
Yeah.
That's one thing I think with new breeders is like you have to get out of that we can pair just because we can mindset. Like
Yeah.
don't pair just because you have them. Make sure you're paying attention to what you're pairing. and
Everything
it's
around.
meaningful. Like
Yeah.
there's a
Yeah.
point to what you're pairing.
And we took on a surrender at one point in May. Actually, a breeder. Well, I won't even call him a breeder. I won't say that. Just somebody local who had just decided to try it, and we ended up with a lot of work and a lot of unfortunate. We had one that had passed because they didn't do their time and take the time to do the research and learn and really understand. So seeing that like firsthand was heartbreaking. And I'm actually working on right now. That's why I've got our YouTube kind of going. I want to do a little educational video and explain it, and kind of her name, the gecko was named Crema. So I want to be able to show her story, and hopefully there's so many people who are trying to get into this hobby and not taking the time to understand it. They're doing more damage.
And they get excited and they think, I got this female, I got this male. Yeah, they're only 30 grams, and they just pair them. And it's like, when we got her in, she was like 25 grams right in the middle of, she had 2 clutches at 25 grams. So she had many more to give.
She was covered in shed, and she just wasn't, none of them were taken care of. So we actually were able to get them all back to health, quarantined. And
she got up to like 35 grams.
Before she passed. Yeah. But we were able to rehome the males, and we kept one for our educational, which we were telling you a little bit about last night and all that. So, but yeah, definitely doing the research and taking the time is huge.
That's awesome. Yeah. And we'll talk about the educational too. We'll go through the last couple geckos.
Yeah.
My husband says he has reception in the bush.
Hey,
now I got to be careful what I say.
So this is who Logan thought was the last picture. This is Klaus. He actually is even more vibrant than that picture shows, really. He's like bright red. He has fringing like crazy. His whites are so crisp and white. So, and he's got portholes like crazy. So I'm kind of still playing with who I'm going to pair to him. But I want to play off of his fringing and brightness because he's just neat. He's just a different, he has down spots, but literally he looks like he's going to get Christmas pictures taken, just so everybody knows. Just be ready on social media for the Christmas spots.
Yeah,
and he can spots in the Vampire Diaries.
Yeah.
Gecko Cove saying, what's the smallest you'll pair a male? Does age matter with males or just size? I honestly, Gecko Cove, you get to know the geckos.
Yeah.
And it's tough with age because sometimes when you're buying something, you don't always know how old they are, like where they're at when they're at a juvie, whether they were a slow grower or not. So I usually, personally myself, I usually wait till they're at least 2 years, or at least I know they're around 2 years. But I do have smaller males, I'll have some that are just on the cusp of 40. Like my males don't get massive, but as long as they're eating really well and they are maintaining a consistent weight and they're over, they're in their adulthood. I mean, you see them, they'll start licking themselves and that they're ready for breeding. I did have one male that did end up, was ready to go, ready to breed, and I paired. But then the problem is sometimes they'll go off food after when they're in that breeding zone. And you just have to be mindful of that, right? So that they don't end up losing weight. So I did have one that was a little bit of a diva, and then I ended up having, funny, Gecko Diva, I had a diva. And I had to hand feed. So every time, like, when I was feeding all the geckos, I had a little syringe and I was there and I took the time and I would have to hand feed him to make sure that he wasn't going to lose all the weight and you know,
Absolutely.
not eat. And now he's finally eating back on his own, but it took a while for him to get back in that headspace. So that's the only worry I find when you're breeding them too young, is that if they're not at a good size, I do find that they tend to not want to eat as much during breeding mode.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and like that's where it's so much harder. Like females, obviously, there's so many stipulations you want to stick to, and then with males, some of our males are huge at such a young age, and some of them are so. I have one. His name is Best Friend, and I swear he's never going to be an adult size gecko ever. He's growing so slow, but yeah,
He eats.
we agree. Like same thing. You just have to kind of get to know them and their size and their.
It also depends. I think it also depends on the female that you're pairing it to.
Yeah.
And if you have a female that's 50 grams, 55 grams, and your male,
it can be aggressive.
Would be 45 grams, which is normally, I mean, you can breed them at 45 grams, but if you have this giant whale of a female, and this little male, he's not going to be able to hold his own. So you're going to want him to size up, get up to that 40 or 50.
There's a lot that goes into that.
Yeah. Or even the opposite. If you have a smaller female,
and a huge male,
just a smaller bodied female, they might be at weight, but they all hold their weights differently. And you put this giant male with her, he's going to tear her up. You know what I mean? And
it's like Glorious and Montu are great because Montu's big and Glorious, it's huge.
Yeah.
So yeah, for sure. That's a good question.
Like I had my one female Monroe. She's a much smaller female. I mean, she's probably about 5 or 6 years old, right? She's well into her adulthood. She's had a couple clutches, or seasons, and she must be older than that then, because she's had a couple, and I bought her as a proven female. So, but she is smaller.
Yeah.
She produces lovely eggs. She maintains her calcium really well. She's always eating her food, and her hatchlings that she has are stunning, but she's never going to be that monster. Like I have like a 65, 70 gram Halloween female.
Yeah.
And she's just a beast. Right. And then I'll have one male that I'll pair to a lot of I've paired him to a couple females, and he's super, super gentle. And then this season I paired him to the Halloween, who is much larger than him. And that was the only female I've ever seen him aggressive with. Was that one female. Like I could not leave him. Like they paired, locked, and I had to take him out of there.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like he picked up.
It's weird how they like changed their personality. Like I would have never expected that from him.
Yeah.
And he was fine with the female he was with the season before. And this one was like night and day. So you can never really tell. That's why you kind of have to, I always say, keep an eye on them, right? And get to know the animals before you're really starting to look at doing breeding projects with them and stuff, right? So
Yep, and the males too, like you can tell their energy. When they start hitting that age, like their energy just, it's like
it's a little change. They're like, ready.
Yeah.
More jumpy and
craziness.
Yep. And some of them will bite at you and stuff.
Oh, so I have a gargoyle project too. So this girl does not have a name. Yeah, I just have one pairing. She's Pennywise lineage. And then I have a male for her who's slow grower. But he is oh my goodness, it's just like he's Deadpool lineage. So I'm gonna pair the two of them together, but this girl doesn't have a name yet. She's gorgeous. She's only partially fired up here. But she's just so piercing and beautiful.
Yeah.
I just love her. She's like one of those ones that when you see it, you just want to squeeze it. So I have to like give myself a second before I pick her up. Like, okay, just she's so dang cute. But I love
entered the Garg side.
Yes, I love. So I have one that's just a pet named Enzo. He's an orange blotch, and I got him the next day. That was my third gecko. So I knew that I wanted to do something with them, but wasn't sure what. But whenever I found the two that I have, like when I saw them, I fell in love.
So. I said, if you're going to do just one pairing, we might as well do it right. And so we got some good lineage, you know what I mean? And it's like,
they're just awesome. Yeah. It's so different. They're the gecko, it's like a crested gecko, but like meaner looking. They've got that edginess.
Yeah.
So they have a little edge to them. Yeah.
Yes. I love her.
Like a gothic,
for sure.
Like a gothic look.
Gothic gecko. Yes.
Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing the pictures. I know there's a few more things that we could probably pop up, like talk about before we close off. So you're doing an expo coming up, right?
Yeah.
Did you want to share with everyone the details so they know where to find you?
So we are going to the Ohio Reptile and More Expo. It is in Columbus. We have everything shared on all of our social medias, and I'm going to add it into our link tree so you're able to go straight to the website and buy your tickets ahead of time if you want, with all the directional information. It is November 16th and 17th in Columbus, and there's going to be a lot of amazing people there. We're super excited to go.
Ohio's biggest.
Yes, and then we're going to be able, we were actually asked to do an educational class at the expo on Crested Geckos,
Awesome.
care and everything else. So we're really very excited.
Slash nervous.
Yeah, a little nervous, but we're excited.
If you can't tell, she's the extrovert. I'm the introvert.
Yeah.
So.
And I'm like,
you can run the class. I'll do more of the demonstration, showing, and.
But yeah. So it's opening up a door of meeting more people around the area and also getting into the education side, which is what I love in general.
Yeah, and you're starting to do that too, right? Locally, like you were saying at like schools and stuff, that you're starting to do some education sessions.
Yes, so we're working with our local library right now to get a class going, and we're going to really dive into a little bit of different stuff on creation and how each animal, does have a purpose and its own little unique things that God just put in them for a reason, and why you need to do your research and understand animals and not be afraid.
Not be afraid of them.
Because there's so many kids, especially in this area, like I feel like our kids' friends are like, your parents are crazy. Like, and their parents are like, they have one at their house, So they're like, So being able to just put that education out there and at schools and libraries, and we have it's called Shawnee Prairie. It's like we can do another thing there. And then I want to start doing some stuff online too.
That's why I'm trying to get my tarantula, like, to eat and and he is molting a lot, and
to be able to just show a little bit every day.
Still like maybe an inch wide.
What kind of tarantula is he?
Curly hair.
Okay.
So I'm like, I want to hold him and show him, around to all the kids and see him freak out.
And freak out. That is the list.
It's always surprising to me, like, and I guess, you come into it, we do all this research and you learn a lot, but there's so much misinformation out there. And for kids, a lot of it is that they're afraid of what they don't know. And it's great that you're doing these education sessions, especially for youth, because you help to kind of try to expose them to something that they don't understand. And in turn, I mean, it's only good for the industry, because then you're getting a lot more people that are going to grow up and be like, oh, I saw this snake and I really liked it. And it was, you're kind of helping to kind of change that mentality, which only ends up bringing more people in the interest side of it, right?
Absolutely. And it kind of creates that where whenever kids are interested in lizards and stuff, their parents aren't just getting them something and then them not knowing what to do with it or how to take care of it, which I feel like we have a lot in our little community and area. And then the education part started for us because our youngest, Eliza, was terrified of most of anything. She's our kid. Our oldest has no healthy fear, unfortunately, of anything. And our youngest,
she'll walk into the pet store and say, "Can I
It's
get
not a pet store. It's it's a reptile.
I call it
house.
pet store.
Yeah,
it's a reptile.
And she goes and gets the boa out. And
can I get Dexter, which is like probably at least 6 foot.
Yeah, he's
boa male, and she just takes him out, puts him over, and just walks around the room with him.
To where Eliza used to walk in and scream and cry when we would just go to get feeders. Yeah. So we started that side of education and bringing them into doing this with us. So I want to be able to offer that to other kids and adults too. Love
the unloved, right?
Yes, love the unloved.
That's awesome. So where can people find you? You want to pimp out your socials?
Yeah, so it's Hatchlings, and we have everything from Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube
now.
And then we'll hopefully be getting approved for Palm Street soon.
We have a Palm Street,
so you can follow us now. The Gecko Room actually was awesome and did his voucher for and put it in for us to hopefully be kind of moved up the line to get things going.
That's awesome.
So, on a lot of our socials, it's like hatchers.hatchlings, just because of how usernames work. Yeah. So yeah, if you follow us on Instagram, we do have a giveaway getting ready. We're so close. We're at like 688 followers, 688. And once we hit 750, we have an amazing gecko that we've held back that we want to offer to one special person. And then we've got some other stuff for a few other winners too. So
yeah, that's right. I was going to bring it up here, but you guys have a contest, right? To share and like and try to promote.
Yeah,
so anyone who's watching, if you're not following them yet, go ahead and head to Instagram, follow, find that post and participate.
It's on the top.
Yep, it's pinned.
Pinned right up there.
Yep, we released it, but I unpinned the picture of the gecko so that it's like a little mystery again. But I'm going to add some newer pictures of him soon. Or I don't know.
For the longest time, we were like putting pictures of like his
little
leg
feet.
or his tail or his, just his pattern or something. We never showed the whole gecko. And then finally, I think at like 650.
Yeah, we did like a full on.
Yeah, we did a full picture. So everyone got an idea of what it looked like.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It's tough. It's tough to get like the followers and to move up, right? Like, and
absolutely.
you try to build and stuff and you see some people have so many, but at the same time, I'm like, when you start going, like some people will have bots or, like,
yes, I don't want to do that.
Yeah, I think it'd be good to have maybe I can get on some guests here that can kind of share some secrets on how to get that Instagram growing.
Yes,
organic going. Yes, TikTok blew up. We have almost 6,000 followers on TikTok, but I feel like that's so different. People are just on there to like swipe through looking at videos, and Instagram is like real people actually like fully wanting to know your business and know what you're doing. And we just love meeting all the different people. We talk to so many people now, it's a whole community.
Absolutely.
The one thing that I've learned is that when you're pushing for a certain number, to wait till you get past that number by a couple before you announce it, because I'm gonna say it, there's always that one jerk that goes and unfollows you as soon as you hit it, and you're like, man, I was trying to hit 500 the other day, and you're like, yay, thank you for the 500, and then you're like, someone unfollowed you and you're at 499. You're like, are you kidding me?
They did that on purpose.
Right? You're like, as soon as they saw the post, they're like, unfollow, and you're like, oh man.
Wow.
Yeah. Literally.
Well, thank you very much for coming on today and joining us. It was an awesome chat, and I think it's great to put faces to names and to learn what you're working with. And I'm excited to see your projects in the years ahead to see what you're gonna produce on both sides of it, right? On the gal side, on the tricolor side, and in between.
When we talk to people on Instagram, we
put a little code of who we are.
Signature like Logan or Bethany, because people don't know who they're talking to, which one they're talking to.
Thank you for having us on. We really this is awesome. I know we've talked to you on Instagram, but it's nice to face to face talk and get kind of a little more personal and share. So thank you so much.
Well, thanks a lot, and I'm going to put you backstage, and I'll see you after the show.
All right, thank you.
Thanks. Hey everyone, I'm back. Thanks for those who joined live and stuck around. It was an awesome interview. I will be back next Sunday. I'm not taking another Sunday off, and I actually have quite a list of guests that are going to be joining us throughout October. I have a little Halloween spin maybe on it into November. So I think I might post something to kind of get it geared up so you guys can see who's going to come on the spooky season. And so I have an awesome Sunday. I hope that you have a great week, a great rest of your day, and a great week ahead. And I will catch you next Sunday. See you later.
Shake your dreams from your hair. I'm already there, right beside you.